Hey there, I'm Douglas from Draftbit. Today, we're diving into screens, the foundation of your app's user interface. Screens are where all your app's components come together, like views, buttons, text, and more. They play a central role in organizing the structure of your app. Each screen can have unique styles, variables, and functions, making it highly customizable. We'll cover how to add and rename screens, use them with navigators, and configure essential properties. By the end of this video, you have a clear understanding of how screens function within Draftbit to make your app interactive and visually cohesive. When you create a new app in Draftbit, a default screen called blank is automatically generated. This serves as a starting point where you can begin building your application's layout. So right now I have a home screen. I'm going to go ahead to the screen section and I'm going to click add. And we have two options. We can add a blank screen, which is what we're going to do in this video. But then we can also add example screens. And I'm going to show you what that looks like. So when we do that, we have many pre-built screens that have been pre-built by Draftbit experts. And you're able to add these screens inside your application. But for this video, let's go ahead and add a new blank screen. A blank screen lets us build from scratch. So that's why we're going to do this. So we can show you how we can do this from scratch from point A to point Z. Now that we've added a new screen, let's explore what makes screens so essential. Every component in Draftbit, from simple elements like texts to complex components like lists, live inside the screen. So inside the screen, we can have all these components. The screen acts as a main container, allowing us to organize and build the interface structure for our application. Now that we have our screen, let's jump into the config tab to see how we can customize the screen. So if we go here on the right side, we'll see there's a config tab. And the first thing that we see on the config tab is the name. This lets us change the screen's name, which will appear in the screens list and is also used for navigation reference. So when you want to navigate to another screen, it's going to ask you, which screen do you want to navigate to? And the name of that is specified here. So the name right now is blank. Let's just make it about page, since we already have a home page. So once we do that, you see in the screen section, it gets renamed. And throughout our whole application, this screen is going to be referred to as the about screen. Then up next, we have description. So there's an optional field where you can add notes or details about what the screen does, making it easier to manage projects. We can have a description here, just say example. And now throughout our application, when someone goes into our screen, they'll be able to see what the screen does. We can describe it to them. Then up next, we have status bar color. So this setting customizes the color of your status bar, text, and icons to ensure they stand out against your app background. So to better see this, in your device preview, go to iOS. So now that we have it open on our iOS, what is the status bar? So it's this section here where we have the time, the connection, and the battery. We can specify what do we want it to be. So when we say default, we're just saying that we want it to be the default status bar color of that device. And then we can make it dark, right? It's already dark, but I think you get the point. We can have it be dark and we can have it be light. So you'll be able to change this based on the background of your app. And as you can see, we're no longer able to see anything, right? Because it's now light. Let's just have it back to default. Then up next, we have scrollable. So when enabled, this option makes the screen content scrollable, perfect for layouts where the content extends beyond the screen. So yeah, imagine we had content that was extending beyond the screen, maybe like a feed of posts, and we want to scroll through these posts. So we'll just use this scrollable, and this allows all the content inside the screen to be scrollable. Now let's take a look at the advanced settings. And for these, I'm going to go back to the device preview, and this time let's go on Android. So what happens when we're on mobile, iOS or Android is we have an area where we don't want the content to go, right? We don't want the content to go where, on this header, we were seeing the time, we were seeing the percentage of the battery of the device. We don't want our content to be going there. So what we need to do in order to avoid that is to have what is called a safe area view. And this avoids that situation where our content overflows outside, this safe area, what we're calling the safe area. And we have these properties that we can use to do that. So the first one is called the Safe Area View. So when this is enabled, the app will automatically adjust the layout to fit within the safe area on all sides, right? So this will work on all sides. And for this to work, we have to go to navigation, root navigate, and then we're going to hide the header, right? Yeah, don't worry, we're going to go deeper into the navigation in future videos. But for now, we just want to remove the header, right? Then let's go back to the screens, rerun our device, and now, so whereas before you were seeing a heading that was saying home, about, now we won't be able to see that since we removed it. And now, as you can see, our app is loaded and we have no heading. Now in the about screen, let's add some text. And as you can see, let me zoom in a bit. As you can see, our text is now at a point where we really don't want the text to be. So that's why we need to use this safe area view. And we're saying this safe area view is going to affect the top, the left, the right, so it doesn't go into weird positions. So let's have that on, and you're going to see the text is now going to go where it's supposed to be. So it's now supposed to start here. So this is our safe area. Then up next, we have top safe area view. So this setting ensures there's a padding at the top to avoid overlaps with things like the status bar, the time, the battery. So when we have this on, it's going to affect the top only. Right now it's in a normal spot. You have to think about it like this, right? The safe area view, we're putting padding at the top, we're putting padding on the left, the right, and the bottom. So it's a safe area view for all sides. And then the top is going to be a safe area view for the top. The bottom is going to be for the bottom. The left is going to be for the left, and then the right is going to be for the. Then up next, we have data tab. So whilst we're on our about screen, let's go to the right, then we go to data. And the first thing that we have is the navigation param. So the navigation parameter enables you to pass data to a screen when navigating to it. This is useful for creating dynamic content on your screen based on user actions. Think of it like this. If you have a screen with a list of items and another screen displaying the details of that selected item, you could add a navigation parameter like the ID to the detail screen. When the user clicks the item, they are then taken to that screen. We grab that ID, then we load that data from the backend. So think of it like an e-commerce application. You have a list of products. You click a certain product. We grab the ID of that product that you clicked. When you go to that detail screen to see details about that product, we grab the ID from the param, then we fetch the data from the backend. So in our parameter, we're going to have ID. Then we're going to add that. Okay, but then how do we use it? So this is the about screen. Let's go back to the home screen, right? Let's add a button. Yeah, don't worry if you don't know this yet. But basically what we're doing is we're going to have a button that when you click this button, we're going to navigate. And it asks you, where do you want to navigate to on destination? And we're going to say, we want to navigate to the about screen. Notice below this destination, there's no param, right? But then as soon as we pick the about screen, right, it's going to ask us to pass in the ID. Because remember, the about screen has a parameter. So it now recognizes that, oh, you want to go to the about screen? That is a parameter. Give me the parameter. So in ID, then you put your ID. Right? We're not going to go deeper into this, but now when you click the button, it takes us to the about page, and we're now able to access the parameter from that navigation. And let's go back to our about. Let's go back to the data. Then up next, we have deep linking. So deep linking lets you open a specific screen within your app directly from an external source, such as a website or another app. So when we have deep linking enabled, let's enable that quickly. And then here on deep linking, you also have a param, but for now, we're not going to have one. So a param is just the same as we're talking about here, a navigation parameter. Whenever you navigate, you have an option to add that parameter. So think of a deep link as this, right? You know, on websites, for example, let's say an e-commerce website, and I have a product like, you know, the new iPhone 16 that just came out, and then I have that on my website. I can give you a link to that iPhone 16, and then you can open that link on any browser, and it's going to take you to that iPhone 16. But then on applications, it's a bit complicated, right? Since the application is going to be living on the person's phone, it's a bit complicated. Like, how do we open a link and then how do we directly go to that application, to that certain page? It's a bit complicated, but it's very simple in Draftbit using this deep linking. So once you have a deep link, that page becomes a link that you can share with the outside world. And once the person clicks that link, they are taken directly to your application and they're taken to that specific page. So that's what that does. Then up next, let's look at interactions. So on all screens, we have two interactions, the on-screen focus and then the on-screen blur. The on-screen focus, this trigger activates every time a user navigates to the screen. So if we come from the home page and we go to the about page, the on-screen focus is going to get triggered. And how can we test that this is happening? We click the on-screen and then it's going to open the action editor. Then what I want to do is just to console log to the screen that we'll just say user is open screen. But here we can do anything. We can make an API request. So once the user navigates to the screen, we can make an API request here and get the data that we want. So we can do that here. But for now, we're just going to console log so you see how it works. Now that we've done that, let's open the console log, delete whatever is in there, go back to the home screen where we have our button. Then now we're going to navigate to the about page. And once we navigate, we're going to trigger this on-screen focus and then user has opened the screen. And here we can do whatever we want. We can get data from the back end and all that good stuff. Then up next, we have on-screen blur. So this is the opposite now. It runs when the screen loses focus. So when I leave this screen to go to another screen, then this is going to run. And a perfect place to do this is on the home screen. So let's go back to the home screen. And what do we want to do? On the home screen, on-screen blur, we're going to console log. And we're just going to say user has left the screen. Okay, then open our console log and remove whatever is in there. Then now, once we leave the screen, notice user has left the screen and you can do whatever you want in there. And yeah, that's a wrap up on our explanation of the screen components in Draftbit. We've covered everything from creating a new screen, configuring its settings, adding dynamic interactions, and understanding how to make your app adaptable with navigation parameters and deep linking. Thank you for watching, and if you found this video helpful, please subscribe, please like, please comment, and until next time, happy building.